I'm Lowri, I live in Shrewsbury and I've had eczema since birth.
I'm Lewis, living in South West London, and I've had eczema since I was about 6 months old. Early years I didn't really know much about my eczema condition apart from talking to my parents, and then I went through a situation where I didn't know if I had any allergies around the age of sort of 15 to sort of 18. So I'd done allergy checks because I was getting like facial eczema around my lips. At that point I found out I was allergic to nuts, dogs, cats, tree pollen, grass pollen, dust. So I then realised that I had to stop eating Snickers, which was my favourite chocolate bar at the time.
Sad days.
So my parents noticed after I was born that I was starting to just flake off, my skin was so dry, and quickly realised that there was something going on. And by the age of about 2, I was in head to toe eczema. And then for my entire childhood, I suffered terribly. I was at the dermatologist once a month, was even hospitalised as a child. And then I became a teenager and things sort of settled, and I was able to manage it with steroid creams, absolutely fine with no issues. Didn't show any signs of being dependent. I could, go months without them, and everything was pretty good. And then I reached my 20s, and that's when things went south again.
I've always been on some sort of steroid cream, emollient, or some sort of cream that's been prescribed by NHS. I use steroid creams pretty much daily. Eyes, cracks on my elbows, back of my knees. Then I started using them on the bottom of my back, where my rucksack used to rub. And then it became like the neck, the eyes, around my mouth. So I used to put them on my lips. When I used to get cracked lips, I used to go, steroid cream will fix this quickly. And I knew steroids were a quick fix, so I'd use that really quickly, and I'd be like, great, I'm back to being normal.
So this is after I've just done my skincare. I don't know if you can tell, but my eyes are just red. And I've got all these like little patches, they're completely flat.
So I was prescribed steroid creams from the age of 2, and I used them pretty consistently until I was about 20, 21. And the reason I stopped them was because I noticed that I was becoming dependent on them, and the more and more I was using, the worse my skin was getting.
I always thought steroid creams were not bad. Honestly, until about the age of about 28, when I stopped steroid creams, that was the first time I was like, these aren't actually good for you. And then went through an element of withdrawal. And then now I'm sat here at 31 and my eczema's in a good position, and I just have to start trying to navigate my allergies and navigate some triggers.
I ended up becoming really reliant on these creams. So I weaned off them over the course of about 6 to 12 months. And because of the education and awareness that there is now, I know that going back onto steroid creams wouldn't benefit me at all, and I can manage my skin in a more holistic approach now. My day always starts with skincare. I tend to wake up with a dry face, and skincare for me kind of brings my face back to life and makes me feel more comfortable. So I will always start with usually about 3-step skincare routine, just to make me feel a bit more comfortable and confident in my skin. I'm also a really active person, so I'll either be running or doing CrossFit, and I find when I'm flaring it makes these things really hard, so then I'll opt for something like yoga or Pilates, because that's a little bit easier on my body.
I love sport and I love exercise. I think having eczema and having a trigger of my eczema being sweating has really been a barrier to that. I try and avoid it as much as possible being a barrier, but things like, if I go and play football for my football team in the summer months, I can really feel my skin stinging. So I try and avoid real prolonged levels of exercise, like a long run or playing football in hot weather, because that stinging sensation just makes me want to itch my skin, which then breaks the skin barrier, and then I'm then in this loop. So I try to lean more to sort of like weight training. I have a Peloton bike here, but I'd never get on it because that sweat level will just push me through the roof and I'll just itch, and it just won't feel like a nice experience. Exercise and sport, you probably don't see it as a real barrier, but it really can be, especially with someone who's got eczema.
Travelling for me has always been a big passion, but eczema can get in the way, and so I've kind of created a bit of a self-care first aid kit that I bring with me everywhere, and I am that girl that always has 1,000,001 creams in her bag. If you need anything, I've probably got it. And packing for a weekend normally requires about 3 bags of stuff, because you never know when you might need a cream for a certain itch, or a spare pillowcase, or a change of clothes if my skin gets really irritated.
When I bathe or shower, I used to use sort of like salts in the bath and oat baths to try and sort of like when I had really broken skin eczema, and that used to help. And then I think I got to a point where I just became reliant on it. So I stepped away from that, and then I came to now I just like have a filtered shower head, go in, use like 100% clean product that hasn't got many chemicals in it, wash my skin, get out of the shower, and then pat dry the eczema areas and rub dry the other areas.
Even though my skin these days is really good and well managed, I cannot stand the feeling of wet hair touching my skin in the shower. So I wash my hair over the bath, and I use products that I know aren't going to irritate my skin around my face, and then I will wash my body in the bath, preferably over a shower.
He's broken free now. Yeah, being a parent is hard enough, having 2 young children under the age of 5. I think having my 2 children was a blessing, but also with that you come with like the sleepless nights, the change in routine. You're sort of controlled or sort of directed by the child's needs, and someone who has eczema who really needs to sort of make sure they're putting creams on at certain times, or make sure they're washing their hands, or you know, you don't want snot or baby stuff all over your hands when you've got eczema on your hands. I think that was a big challenge when they first came into the world. I think following that, my daughter has autism, and navigating that as a young parent was quite challenging. And with regards to sort of like counsel and getting her the support she required, that stress on a relationship or on a person that has eczema could be quite high. And not to say she's a cause of any of my eczema, but I do think these stresses and strains that you have in life are always going to have a trigger into who you are and what your eczema does. And it's about ensuring that your children have the life they want and the support they have, but also ensuring that you balance your eczema and what you need.
Oh my goodness!
Mama! Oh, he just weed on the sofa!
Ah, well done.
Hi!
So even though I am allergic to dogs, and in the past I've had awful allergic reactions where it's caused my asthma to flare up, my skin to flare up, my eyes to go all puffy, we still decided to get a dog, and it was a huge risk and something that did cause me a lot of stress, but we're 2 months in now and things are going really well. I am irritated by him, but I'm able to manage that with antihistamines quite well. But honestly, the little bits of eczema that have popped up, it's been so worth it.
I try and take him
Dance?
I forced him to. I forced him.
I think having a supportive partner, if you are in a relationship, is really helpful. Someone that sort of understands what you're going through. Obviously they're not going through it themselves, but can, has empathy about, some of the triggers you may have or the feelings you may have, and can really sort of support, whether that's through, cooking, or whether that's through changing diet, which has happened with my partner. And I think if you find someone who really wants to support you and really loves you and values you, you don't see eczema as a barrier to your relationship. You see the support, and that ultimately enables you to just be you and enjoy life.
Having a supportive partner during an eczema flare-up means the absolute world, and without Nick, I don't know how I would have got through the years when I was, bedbound with my skin, needed someone to moisturise my back, help me put bandages on. And I really feel for people who don't have that support system. Like, I feel so lucky that I had that. I'm blessed that I met him when my skin was good. So he didn't know what to expect, but as soon as things started to get bad again, there was no doubt that he would be there for me. Even now, he knows what my triggers are, he knows what I need when I feel a certain way. I don't have to ask him to do anything, he just knows what to do when I need him.
When I was in like the depths of sort of withdrawal and the depths of like having it for a long period of time, having people that didn't understand it and didn't want to understand it or couldn't understand it because they don't have those feelings. They don't understand like, well, your skin feels like you've constantly got ants crawling all over it and you want to get rid of it, and you get rid of one itch and it moves to another position. I thought there was never going to be an end. I thought I was always going to sort of have it and look this way, and that's quite a scary thought. And it can put you in some real dark places. It wasn't until I was in that position, I was like, I don't know who to turn to, and then I looked on Instagram and found a community of people that actually reaching out to them, and the only boy in the community it seems, talking to them and going to these meetups and putting myself out there and being around 45, 50 other people that have eczema made me go, actually I'm not alone, and that sort of showed me the light, and actually I want to be an advocate for it, and I want people to understand that eczema isn't a thing that should hold you back from doing things you want to do.
Community has been the biggest blessing from eczema. As hard as it is, I am actually grateful I went through it, because without it I wouldn't have met all these amazing people. I have some best friends now that I never would have met unless I started sharing my journey online. And what started out as a plea for help and for me to get advice of other people online has turned into me being able to share my story and experience and help other people. It is so helpful because it's such an isolating condition to go through. I spent my entire life pretty much until I was 20 thinking I was the only one that was going through it, and little did I know there are so many of us, and we're all just fumbling through, figuring it all out, but now we have each other to help us get through that.
Over the last sort of 4 or 5 months, I've really sort of looked into good, healthy gut food. I'm having a hell of a lot more olives. I'm drinking kombucha. I try as much as I can to have it like daily supplements that will improve my gut health. And in doing that, I've sort of noticed a change in my skin and a change in my sort of energy levels. And I don't know much of the science behind this, but I do think there is something about what you put in your body is what you're going to get out of it. And I personally feel a hell of a lot healthier than I did sort of 4 or 5 months ago when I was eating fast foods, having snacks that weren't the healthiest. Find out if you've got any intolerances is the first thing you do, and then work a diet that's going to be suitable for you.
Not only has sharing my story brought me an incredible community and lots of friends that truly understand, I have connected and worked with so many brands that want to help us and want to share that you don't just have to use the pharmaceutical route. There are skincare ingredients and products out there that can help us manage, and that has been the biggest thing that's helped me in my journey.
I think the best advice you can give someone with eczema is be you, and don't be afraid of what people are going to say, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I think you know who you are, and you've got what you are passionate about in life, whether that's work, children, school, wherever you are. I wouldn't let eczema be a barrier to enjoyment.
Excuse me, what's happening?
A BBC documentary.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
About,
even live?
it will be, yeah.